We get into our comfort zone.
Comfort zone.
Oh, I have been working in this company for 5 years. Now everybody knows me and I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
Every morning I come, people wish me and they recognize my contribution to the company. And we get into that trap.
Hi, in today's episode of Insights Cafe with Ashmeet Singh, we have Mr. Keshar Mehra, who is an educationist and has like 20 plus years of experience in building some of the best schools of India. He built Step by Step School. Before Step by Step, he was a technical lead at Sri Ram School. Before Sri Ram School, he was one of the founding member of Mothers International. So let's explore his journey and see that how did he come from such a humble background from Nainital and building his life and building such prominent schools of India. Currently, he is a chief operating officer of Learners International School, which would also be one of the best schools of India. And let's see what does he has to offer. Thank you. I was remembering I was working within the CEO office of Learners International School. So I have this like a very good memory of you where I found that you come from like a very humble background. Someone coming from Nainital and then building up so many best Indian schools, say step by step. Learners International, and before that, um if I talk about Mothers International and Sri Ram School. So I was just like thinking about your journey, like how was your childhood in Nainital and how was all about it. So let's start with that.
Yep.
How was your journey, like your uh, g- gold days and old days, and like how was about the your schooling and stuff? Just like let's deep dive into it and then let's take it forward.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast and nice to see you here. See, I feel if I take my journey, it's far from being conventional and perfect, as you say. So there were lots of things, permutation, combination. So it might not serve as a guide to be successful in life, but it might help somebody to have that kind of attitude in your life where whenever life will give you chances, that you should be ready for that. So that's what I have learned. Whatever I have learned, I don't call it an achievement or something. I see myself as a still a work in progress. I still try to, I feel that I'm still incomplete and I still look for that one additional thing, one extra thing every day. I try to add into my journey, of being a lifelong learner. And I think there are two, three things I would, if I have to advise someone and learning from my life is always be curious, always be passionate about what you're doing, and always take joy in whatever you're doing in your life. There's nothing small work, big work, because most of the time we set very long, huge, ambitious goal for ourselves, and then what happens? We don't enjoy the journey because the whole focus is on the objective or the goal of your life. And I feel rather than focusing on that big goal, you always be micro ambitious. See what I'm going to do today, how I'm going to enjoy it, what kind of outcome I would want from this at the end of the day. So that when I leave office, I should be very happy, satisfied, or I should be excited about, oh, I'm going to finish it tomorrow. It can be anything. And whatever is thrown at me, I never saw it as an additional task or additional work given to me. I always saw one opportunity to learn something new. you know that's why my I have gone through so many things, my if you call it a career, my life journey, it goes through like so many things, starting from being a mountaineer to living a community life, and then going into education, then being a technology geek, and then coming into education administration. So it has been a very exciting and thrilling journey, and I feel that I have enjoyed every bit of it. And as far as success, if you call it a success, it goes like, I give credit to the people who have contributed to my life, because they were there. That's why I could achieve what I have achieved so far. And I feel that there are three things which are very important in your life. You should be there at the right place at the right time. Two things, and you don't have any control on those two things, because you don't know what is when is the right time will come, and what is the right place.
You don't know about the opportunity basically.
Yeah, but one thing you can do, whenever that opportunity comes, you should be prepared for that. You should be right there, because you have thought it through, and okay, this is it, and I'm here.
So let's take it like a little backwards. So now, say for an example, uh, you must have gotten many opportunities, like what built you today. But let's start with your childhood journey. So how were your parents? How were you surrounded by? What was your surroundings at that time? Which you think that due to this surrounding, I'm like this today.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
could be anything. It could be say playing in like the mountains, or like running near the rivers. Anything. Like
Yeah.
you mentioned about your community life.
Yep.
So let's break down that bit, like mountaineer community life, and then let's take it forward from the. Then we will take it the your school life. Let's break it down.
Yeah, I would like to start right from when I was born, that day,
let's start
because
with that.
that story, although I don't remember that day, but my parents, especially my mother, she keeps talking about it. The day I was born, it was snowing outside. It was 3 feet snow, and all the lights were shut.
Okay.
And so what happened, like, they could not buy clothes for myself. So when I was born, there was no clothes, nothing to wear. So I was wrapped in a apron,
Okay.
because which was available in the labor room.
Okay.
So I was just folded on that, and I was handed over to my mother on that. So excitement, this exciting journey starts right from there, and I still use it as my point of reference. At any point of time, I feel that God is there. You know, although you know whatever I do, I never shy away from giving my best, and but I always feel that that's my point of reference. I can't go below that, because when I was born, there was no clothes, and it was snowing, but still there was one apron which was waiting for me. So every time, whenever I struggled, I was in stress, I felt that I'm losing a war. I always felt that apron will be coming to me. So I was never afraid from taking any risk in my life.
So that.
Yeah, yeah. I said, "Judge, क्या होगा?" Like, I'll go back to that situation. Nothing else. Nothing can go. Going to be worse than that. And then my childhood was spent in a very lovely location in mountains, Nainital. It was 1.5 kilometers from Naini Lake, very famous lake. And in my childhood in 1973, it used to be a very nice, peaceful town, not like today's Nainital. Uh, and my house was surrounded by devdar trees. I still remember the smell of those trees, and the wind flowing through, and that peculiar noise, the sound which used to come from that. I still feel very nostalgic when I hear that sound. So there's I always feel that there's a connection between me and Devdatri. I see them as my siblings. Whenever I go to Nainital, I always go to that tree. I say, oh, my sibling, because uh, that tree is my childhood friend. And not many children in that area at that time, 4 5 children, and they are living at a distance, so say half a kilometer or so. I used to roam around in jungle, and when I started going to school, the exciting part was not what I was studying in the school, but what was happening in between, like when in the journey, going to the school in the morning and coming back in the evening. Very exciting journey, and we used to barge into people, orchards, like fetching apricots, plums, and climbing trees, fighting with monkeys. So it was full of excitement. And There was no ambition, there was no goal,
Yeah.
but it was just,
You were going with the flow basically.
yeah, loving and living the moment. Yeah. So then when I started going to the,
You completed your schooling from Nainital.
yeah, yeah, I in fact I completed my post graduation from there.
Okay, from
Yeah.
Nainital. So when was the first time you came to like Delhi or some other metropolitan city or?
Yeah, so it's connected to, because next to my home there was a place called Shri Aurobindo Ashram,
Okay.
and I used to see lots of people are coming there, and especially from Delhi. And I was a localite, so I used to see them as, they were strangers and we were strangers for them. And whenever I used to go there, and one day it happened, like, they called us in and we went there and we realized, okay, they are just human beings like us. And we started talking, and I started taking interest in ashram. And eventually I joined that ashram, and they sent me to Delhi first time, and they say our head office is in Delhi, you can go there. And it was 1992 when I first landed in Delhi, and then I started living a community life. You know, I left everything. I left my home. I started living in ashram with all the people coming. They were from all over India, from more than 20 states. So,
So if I interlink your community life with your today's life,
mhm.
so what could be say some of the glimpses that you think that you are able to enjoy in today's life, you can relate to your community life, and what could be the others? Say for example, not everyone has a community life experience. Everyone like if we talk about Delhi or any other place in London, anything, so they are like they have upbringing into different kind of, they don't have community life and they think that it's like a very old fashioned thing called a community life. I'm talking
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
about a general thing. But you have been into both kind of worlds. You have been into a capitalist world, and you have been into a community life where you don't know about money. You're just doing seva. I think
Yeah, yeah,
selfless. You're
yeah,
doing seva. You
yeah.
are properly going a schedule of meditation and stuff. Because I have been into that life for some time. I balance it with it, but I would just love to know that how you are using that part of learning in today's life.
See, the first thing is you start celebrating. First, start understanding and then celebrating diversity. In community life, there are different kind of people coming from different walks of life. So, my friends, they were coming from, states like Orissa and Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. I feel everybody should be living community life for some time, because that gives any person exposure to things which are not possible otherwise.
Yeah, definitely.
Through community, you understand, and then in fact start celebrating diversity. Because otherwise, what has happened, like, in our family life, in our town, in our city or town, you are limited and you're confined to the people, and they have similar sort of sometimes we see it through a common religion, sometimes we see it through a common lifestyle. But when you start living in community life, and people are coming from all walks of life and different parts of the world, you start understanding their perspective. Then you can expand your horizon. You say, oh, it happens like this also. you know uh, there is nothing which is absolute truth, right?
So like if I link it to it, so you talked about opportunities before this. So I can say one of the capitalist opportunity you got could be linked from your community life.
Yeah.
Say one of the life of someone you would have like seen through, or you have reflected upon, and then you thought like, okay, this could also be an opportunity because you were like not, you are not exposed to that exposure. I would say so that could be a starting point in your career.
Yeah, come again. Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
So I'm saying like when you were in a community life, you were exposed to different people, like different professionals from different walks of life. So there could be have been an opportunity for you to step into this capitalist world because earlier you were not aware about it, you were not exposed about it. So how was that?
Yeah, so I see, I don't differentiate it as a capitalist or community. I don't see them differently, because even if in community life, the community has to sustain itself, and it can happen through different methods, different things you can try, so that your community is self-sustained financially.
Mm.
You know, whenever if that happens, then you are independent and you can invest your time and effort on the things you enjoy doing.
Mm.
You know, and now going back to the I was talking about perspective,
Mm.
and horizon, and then selflessness,
Yes.
the sense of belongingness, the most important thing I feel any community gives you. Like, otherwise you are a very isolated entity, and you don't have any identity for yourself. When you attach yourself to a community, you feel, okay, I'm a part of something bigger,
Mm.
right?
Got it.
And the entire community becomes you, and you become the community. Yeah. So, and that also serves a purpose in your life, and you feel uh, you know uh, some meaning, driving your life. Otherwise, whatever we are doing in our solo life, in our solo journeys, it looks very insignificant.
So let's talk about your education.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned that your career has been very unconventional. It's not like going into that top
Mm.
degrees
Mm.
and stuff like that. But anyways, it doesn't matter at this moment because I think the knowledge that you acquire and the skill set you have, that matters. So let's talk about that. Your education, your post graduation, and then your work experience. Let's start with that. How do you see yourself in that? How did you fit yourself in that, and then how did that played a major role in your career as a whole?
Okay. Yeah. See, if I start, talking about my educational journey, the time was very different. If you see it from today's point of view, it looks very different. I'm talking about late 80s and early 90s, when I was going through my schools and college. At that time, the world was very mono, I would call it. Like, there was a defined path. You go to this school, and then you keep graduating, you keep, studying, and then you will reach somewhere. And then there was nothing in terms of choosing something, and then pursuing that and all that. So I remember my father was of the opinion that I should be doing commerce, and I should be working in a bank, and that it was his dream for me. And but I was more fascinated about science.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know what was the reason, but I was, the moment I used to see the microscope and the funnel and the lenses and all that, that used to fascinate the child I was. And so what happened, like, because at that time, your parents, they used to, make, decisions for you. So I had to go to commerce, which I obviously later on, although it was compromised, but I enjoy that part also. And uh, so I started learning commerce from grade 9 at that time. So you had to, right now I think in grade 11 you choose your subject, but at that time it was grade 9 when you have to choose your subject. And I started learning commerce with all other subjects. And then I did my BCom, and then followed by my post graduation from there. Then the obvious
You did your post graduation in commerce.
commerce,
Okay.
MCom.
Okay.
Yeah. So after that, because of ashram connection I was talking about, so I came to ashram. Because of my qualification, I started doing the accounts also, and then I moved out. Eventually, when I said, okay, enough, I have experience of community, then I have to live my life, accept challenges. Then I joined a company, mainly in the business of handling coal and all that. So they had mines also.
They were based out of
Delhi only.
Delhi.
So my office was in Paharganj, I remember.
Okay.
And it was a huge contrast coming from, Nainital and the AQI 0 to a place like Paharganj. It was a drastic change in life.
Definitely, yeah.
And so, but I, learned living in Delhi and Delhi's life. I made myself familiar with that, and started working as an accountant, the company I'm talking about. But there, it was the first time I saw a computer, and I said, wow, this is something I would, because before that, I saw computer, but never, had opportunity to work on one because of accounting and all that. So I started working on a computer, and that's fascinated me like anything. I remember having sleepless nights of excitement that tomorrow morning I'll go and I'll work in that computer again.
Yeah, yeah, it used to happen with us also. Yeah.
Yeah.
When we used to
And
like look at some new gadget and then
yeah, so at that time when life was very
I
simple
remember
and
with this mic.
yeah.
When I got this mic, I was so excited next day. I would be shooting a full podcast.
Yeah, so I said how it works because I have that, you can call it a problem, your mindset, a strength, or something like that. I keep questioning things, how it happens. I never accepted things the way they are presented to me. So I said, if it is computer, how it works. Then started learning about it. At that time, there was no internet.
Mm.
So Nehru Place and going to those computer bookshops was the only option. I used to go there every week,
Mm.
and a major chunk of my saving used to go in buying books.
Okay.
Yeah, so I bought lots of books, learned about computers, how it works, and all that, and I did some training also. And suddenly, seeing my interest, someone offered me a position with Mothers International School. So, very good school in Delhi, and they are one of the best schools in the
Yeah.
country. And they were, setting up their computer lab, and and they wanted a person who understands technology and all that. Uh, and I remember it was a kind of a, not a very financially intelligent decision, but I said, let me follow my passion. That's risk taking ability I was talking about. I said, leave everything, and you're accountant, you know everything, you are happy with, balance sheets and all that. But let's get into something you're not good at.
Yeah, definitely.
And I was very happy that, I'll be getting some money for working,
Yeah.
and it's although it's not as good as the money I was getting, then but I made that switch, and yeah, that was the beginning that I kept, learning, lots of sleepless nights of excitement and learning new things in computer. And then I met Mrs. Adams. I see her as my mentor also, well-known educationist. And at that time, they were starting a branch of their already existing chain of schools called Shriram Schools in Gurgaon. So I was very fortunate that I was made a part of that team who was, working there, starting the project, and then I took lead as a technology lead there, and it wa- it was year I think 2001 when we started working there, and
So you started Sriram School from scratch,
no, their new branch,
the new branch.
yeah, although their Mulsari branch was already there, but I started working for the Aravali branch. But it was a very unique experience. I learned a lot. And if you, one thing I can suggest you, if you want to, uh, grow in your life, spend time with good people, evolved people, and if you have to take quite risk, if you have to take, um, some jumps here and there, don't afraid of taking risk,
Mm.
but spend time with evolved people, successful people, because these, because sometimes what happens, we get into that lock. Okay, we
Yeah.
get into our comfort zone.
Comfort zone.
Oh, I have been working in this company for 5 years now, everybody knows me and I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
Every morning I come, people wish me, and they recognize my contribution to the company, and we get into that trap.
Yeah.
Right. So the same thing happened with me, spending 5 years there, and then a new project was opening in Greater Noida.
Just
So
step by step school.
step by step school.
Okay. Yeah.
So they were opening the school, and
Just to mention that step by step school is one of the
um,
second best school of India.
yeah. So this time in this ranking, they are the best.
They are the best.
Recently,
Okay.
they are. Yeah.
They're the best. So yeah, tell us about step by step.
Yeah. So
That journey.
again, going through that dilemma of working with one of the best schools, and then suddenly starting from ground zero. And when I remember when we came here and I was shown the school site, it was a farmland. and something was growing there. And when we came, and there was a chart, okay, this is going to be the school, and and then again the decision whether I should stick to what I'm good at and there and being comfortable and enjoy what I was doing at that time there, or risk, take the risk and jump into something very new. And I think because of the team, the kind of people I had in my founding team, it helped me a lot. I learned a lot from them. And at that time when we started the project, in year one we have immense success there. So in the year one we had more, I think 550 children.
According to you, like you started step by step, and you are the founding member of Step by Step. So, according to you, what do you think that five major things that are like that are most prominent to build a school like that? Because it's like Step by Step is a brand now.
Mm-hmm.
So, if any five prominent thing like building proper systems, functionalities, what do you think according to you that makes you or break you? So like usually it doesn't happen, like not every school is like a school which
So I'm not sure about five things, but a few things I can tell you. Is first thing is, if you want to start something new, you have to be different. You can't keep repeating the same thing other people are doing.
yeah.
At that time, we experimented a lot. We were not afraid to try out new things, because that's the beauty of a startup. Because other people who are already successful in this in the field, they don't have that choice, because they are carrying lots of baggage of the past, and baggage of success I would call it. Because something worked, how can you just get rid of it, try something new? But if you are a new, you have nothing to lose, and you can try out whatever. So at that time, I remember the idea was, if before that, in school, very we used to always say that, why to fix it if it is not broken. So
Okay.
school is a kind of a education industry is such, I always say that, we are a slave of status quo.
Hmm.
you know we keep referring to things in our discussion. Oh, last year it happened, that's why it should be done this year also, because I've been doing it for 5 years, that's why I'm doing it. So that's what we tried to challenge there. We said, if it was happening last year, this time it has to be different, because every other industry is thriving on progression, thriving on changes. If Steve Jobs has decided, okay, after iPhone 1 or iPhone 6, nothing is, because this is the best, it's working, then you wouldn't see iPhone 14.
Yeah.
So every year there has to be a new version, a better version of what you were. Why can't this happen in education?
Yeah.
So that was a very new thought we came up with. So the second thing I can remember is the support from the investors, support from the promoters, as we call them in education. So they were very supportive, and they trusted us, and we got lots of freedom, free hand to try out new things, and they were never bothered about you know how much money is being invested, what is the ROI, and all that. Those questions were not asked. And in education, it's very important.
But like what was the at that time
Hmm.
what was the differentiating factor that you think that in an education system that would have required and you were able to build upon that in terms of say some curriculum or in terms of say a thinking mindset of like a child or how to build that or how to inculcate that in a
It
child. So just about the education whole education system.
See, it's a combination of lots of things. I would call it. So we said, okay, so having a global mindset, because at that time I remember very few people were bothered thinking about what's happening in the rest of the world. In the field of education, how things are being taught in UK, US, Finland.
Okay.
So right now we keep talking about it. At that time it was a new thought. What is the international and global methodology, pedagogical aspects? Although, how can we bring those best practices to India and still work with our national curriculum? So I think that was one unique thing, and which were liked by our parents at that time. And progressive education, It was not like send your child to the school, entering into a quiet class, discipline is maintained, and education is provided so that they can reproduce it in some exam, which has no real life connection. So we wanted every child walking into school should love coming. So I remember, children complaining about, why it was a long, summer vacations and we really missed the school and all that. At that time, for when I was growing up and I was going to the school, chutti was the best thing which could happen to us. But not anymore, because children were they loved coming to the school. That's what we liked. And lots of focus on professional development, because see, I feel if you're talking about education, the most important thing in education is the facilitator, teacher in convention.
Yeah.
We call them facilitator. So that's the single most important entity. Then everything else is there to support them. Good infrastructure, very progressive leadership team, good location, fee, reasonable fee. So all other aspects there to support the activity which is happening in the classroom, the relationship of facilitator and a learner. That is most important thing. And how that will happen unless you empower your facilitator, that's not possible. At that time, very not many schools were investing into professional development. So, and we gave immense emphasis on that, and we made sure that number one, our selection process was very robust. So when they used to be, I remember 5 or 6 rounds of interviews, and then lots of tests they had to go through before they were selected to be a facilitator. And after they are selected, then the induction process, very long induction process, where they were taken through a series of training sessions, a reinforcement of lots of things, so that we can establish that benchmark. And it was we got immense support from parent community also, and it was a huge success. And still, I take pride in that uh, institution, and I'm always grateful to.
So, let's talk about more general education system.
Mm.
Like, according to you, what do you think that an education system should be built upon? Say, moreover, in different schools, in other schools, like which are not international based schools or curriculums, we see majority of curriculum is like rote learning. And but these days, if you look at the career trajectories, say an influencer, a YouTube influencer, or say someone who's like a policy lead at Google, these are not conventional jobs. Conventional jobs were doctor, chartered accountants, engineers, and stuff like that. But what do you think that currently is like breaking into the system and people are getting into these kind of jobs? Like if I get back into, because your education matters, then only you are able to. So how do you link that? Because
See,
you have been into that.
yeah, see, I think the objective of education has changed drastically. And in education, we need to understand that. And what was happening earlier, there were singular career paths. You are trained for a particular thing, and you keep doing. You take that path, you do it well, and you get retired from there. That's what it used to happen. But the way world is changing right now, if you are trained in, you take any stream, any subjects, and by the time your course is over, sometimes you feel that better thing is already there, has replaced everything.
Yes.
So what are you training for?
Yeah.
And it's possible that you complete your degree, you learn something, and by the time you finish the course, everything changes. A new technology is coming in, a new way of doing things is coming in. So I think the skill of learning is more important, so that you should be able to adapt to whatever comes your way.
Yeah.
That's the only way forward. Otherwise, you can't teach content anymore. You can't teach a particular skill anymore. What skill you can impart in children or the student for that reason is whether they have the skill of learning.
Yeah, this is a new concept, like
Yeah.
skill of learning.
Yeah. So can, if you give them a topic, for example, say a problem which they are not aware of it, they don't know anything about it, can they first take the risk and be confident, okay, we can solve that, then do the due diligence, like research about it, find out information. Google knows everything. Why you have to retain all that information? Then do your due diligence, do your research, analyze, draw your conclusion, and then work for solution, and then provide solution. That's the skill, and this template will work everywhere. Like tomorrow, whatever happens, like whatever AI does, with whatever, that skill will still be relevant. And whether we are providing and teaching that those skills in school and colleges, that is very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and making real life connections. So what's happening? Education, whatever we are teaching in school, it's becoming redundant.
Whatever, yeah.
So,
If we talk about.
so real life. So even if you are a child, say in our school, a learner of grade 3, grade 4, what they are doing, they are just picking a real life problem. It's a project based learning, and they are, although it's simplified, you know to their age group, but they are actually dealing with real life problems. So when they grow up with these skills, they won't be afraid of any career change, they won't be afraid of any destructive technology, coming into the picture, and they will always stay relevant. Yeah, I think, especially after COVID, and I actually met some of the parents who they have opted for homeschooling, and they feel that this is a better alternative to the education or the schools for that reason. And but I feel schools are going to stay very relevant, because there are lots of other needs. So in homeschooling, what are you catering? You're catering to maximum, you're catering to educational needs, and not many parents, they have the bandwidth to arrange all the resources, spend enough time with their children. And the in school, the kind of diversity we provide, like in on a single day, a child is interacting with uh, 8 or 9 subject experts, as you call them. And uh, and moreover, very important aspect, social skills. Child is spending time with that age group, you know and engaging in various social activities, and learning to be in the team, getting bullying others. So all these things are, they are part of, I would say, learning, and very important aspect, and which cannot be ignored. I see homeschooling as a good idea, but I feel, schools are going to, stay relevant, and for most of the parent, where they don't have the inner bandwidth and the resources to provide that kind of a support, school is only option.
And with respect to say these days, as we are getting more and more, we spend more time with gadgets.
Mm-hmm.
So there are like many mental health issues
Mm-hmm.
that from a very early stage
Mm.
children used to suffer. So what do you think that, like, how can parents, or
Mm.
like how can what could be, like, monitoring is not an issue, I think.
Mm-hmm.
If you start monitoring your child, it's not an issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a solution to the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But according to you, what do you think that there could be like a possible alternative to it that we can, which can, uh,
Yeah, so why blame?
parents can.
Yeah, so I feel, why blame only children? So I accept that, I was so in between, got addicted to all these reels. Every now and then, whenever I was free, I was just automatically, my hand was picking the phone, and I was going through those reels. Before I actually realized that I'm getting addicted to that. So we can't blame children for that. The kind of, content which is being served through those mobiles, that's very, for them, it's very engaging, very addictive, and it's it keeps them engaged and it gives them excitement. And these days you see the attention span. We used to talk about it, and I remember, when I was in school, our teacher, they used to talk about an attention span of say 20 minutes, if I remember it correctly. But I feel these days you count that attention span in seconds. In 30 seconds we lose focus. So we can't blame children for that, and we have to rise, and we have to adapt technology and all that. But at the same time, excessive use of gadgets, excessive time spent on screens. I think that's the one area we should, if we can strike a balance. A child is knows how a phone works, and then enjoys reels, can create video. And these days children, they have their YouTube channels,
Yeah.
and they are very expressive, they are very creative. I think you can use technology as a tool to enhance your skill, and to be a better person than being a slave of it, because both the things are possible. And I think more than school, parents can play a more important role in this. In school everything can be structured, because they are going from one class to another. There are not lots of opportunity for the children to engage in unproductive activities. But at home, what they are doing, I'm not talking about censoring anything and providing a unnecessary monitoring system and all that. And but the kind of culture, make something more which is more exciting than looking into the camera. Spend more time with your children. And you're talking, the moment you reach home from your office, how much time you spend with your child. Would you like to know how the day was for your son or daughter? And build those habits, small habits, so that for half an hour you tell them about your day and they tell you about their day. If that becomes a culture, you will be able to strike a perfect balance. On weekends, take them out, take them to the park, go for a cricket match, do whatever they like. And that way you can enjoy your parenthood also, and then strike that balance we are talking about. This is what happens. We feel that parenting is all about paying for the child's education and interests and hobbies. It's far from that. That is just one aspect. And you as a parent, there are lots of other things you ought to do. How much time you are spending with your child, and what kind of discussions or conversations are taking place. Always see how many times you're telling something to a child which is not an instruction. How many times you want to know what they think about something. You want to know their opinion, right? That's very important. These days children are, they very used to getting instructions from their parents and not following it. you know yeah. So avoid instructions. If you want to get something done, convince them, give them reasons, and develop a culture of discussion, healthy discussion at home, and give them equal opportunity to overturn any decision. And in fact I would say, whenever you are taking a decision, make them a part of it. Even very unrelated, yeah, financial. Do you want to buy a fridge, how many liters? If you tell your child, okay, can you go and research and see how big a fridge we should be buying which can meet our needs, and they'll be excited. You just converted one thing into a learning opportunity for the child. At the same time, whenever tomorrow you want them to do something, you can again get into that. So it's not about who said what, it's all about what is right. That kind of culture at home is going to help.
Hmm. So with this buzzwords like say AI, machine learning, and any say disruptive technology that's coming ahead, what do you think being an educationist, the school has a role to play, or from the other side, say parents can play to like make their children more relevant? We discussed about skill of learning, but from the school perspective, what do you think?
Because I feel that I belong to that interesting generation where when I was born there was nothing, and
Yeah, yeah.
fast forward,
You have seen
almost
everything.
we have seen everything and this rapid change. So let me tell you, this is nothing new. I don't see anything new in this. Every 10 years we see something, we say the same thing. Oh, this has come and this will take away all the jobs and all that. Starting from your cassette player to the calculator, everything was blamed that
Yeah.
okay, this particular thing is going to make human beings irrelevant.
Yeah.
But I don't agree to that, because we keep evolving human beings, and whatever comes up, we'll find a place for ourselves. You know, when the calculator was invented, it was said that all the accountant job and this and that will be taken over by this thing. But now it's a very effective tool. Now computer came over, it will take away all the jobs. Now we use computer as a very effective tool. So we also have started using AI, chat gpt, bard and all that. I find them very effective tool. You can save lots of time. The kind of things we are doing in school using AI, starting from the curriculum, your office work and everything. I think this is fantastic. Human being can spend time more on what they are good at, what they can do, rather than these all these monotonous tasks can be given to machines. So I'm very excited about these new technology, because I feel that not only, yeah, and then we can, as human beings, we can spend time doing better things in life. It's not about drafting a mail, and so much time goes into these monotonous tasks. So we can do something more creative, because what AI is going to do, AI is not going to bring something which has never thought about. So you are a human being. Think about something which has never thought by any human, any man in the by the mankind before.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would say that job of monotonous job of doing the same thing, repeated task, all that is going to go away. But that is going to bring opportunity for people to evolve,
And
learn,
learn something.
and do better things.
Do better things. Yeah. To evolve their lives, and
Yeah,
if they
definitely.
will evolve, their earnings will also evolve, and that's.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so let's come to the end of the podcast and talk about what's next on your plate. Like what you're thinking 5 years down the line, or you're just sustainable that I'm done
Yeah,
with
I
this.
think in my initial this thing part of the conversation, I mentioned that I'm the one who never thinks about what's going to happen 5 years down the line and 10 years down the line. So I always live in the moment. You know,
Yeah.
what the new challenge? What is that new thing I have learned today? I'm very you can call it micro ambitious. Very small, tiny task, very tiny goals, and celebrate them. Be happy about the journey. And if you're happy about the journey, you'll reach somewhere. Don't worry about the milestones. I have 5 years, 10 years. They'll keep coming and going, and they'll keep you, because what happens, if you set a target, that is going to bring more stress. That is my
Yeah.
way of thinking about it. But if you think about the journey, what I'm doing today, because I'm in full control of this, and wherever I reach tomorrow, I'll be happy. But
That's the
one
end
thing,
goal.
yeah, one thing I'm 100% sure about, that I won't be living in status quo. I won't be doing the same thing next day. If my environment, my workspace, my profession asks me to do the same thing again, I'll change it. I'll do something better.
So the last question: you will choose a generalist or a specialist?
see, it's a very interesting question. So I feel that you don't have to choose between them. So as they call it, jack of all, master of none.
Yeah.
So I don't believe in that. I just want to change it. Jack of all, master of one. You should have depth. You should, whatever you're passionate about, get into the depth of it. Learn it to the extent it's possible.
Mm.
But at the same time, that should not be the limiting factor, right? You should be spreading your wings and learn whatever comes your way, whether it's mountaineering, accounting, finances, whatever. So, as they say, if life is giving you lemons, make lemonade.
Hello, thank you so much,
Yeah,
sir. It was amazing. It was a pleasure
yeah,
to
it
have
was.
you, and all the best with your journey ahead.
All the best to you also, and I think this is also an example of trying out new things, because the area, the profession you come from, and the kind of journey you have taken, this is also a very
It's
unique
a
thing.
totally new thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Just exploring new ways and taking life ahead and
yeah,
wherever, just exploring.
and being lifelong learner.
Yeah, being a lifelong learner.
Yeah,
We all are lifelong
yeah,
learners.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.